By splitting the novel into three parts, Reed presents to the reader firstly Antoinette's view, then Rochester's view. The third part sees Antoinette re-engaging in the debate which is developed throughout the novel. That question as to which house, which country is home, presenting the reader with the differing ideas of what home can mean. There is a conflict between here and there, reality and dreams, the dark and the light, which all combine to give a multi-layered description of what home actually is. Questions of origin, of belonging, of community. As Edward Said believed, it is in culture that we can seek out the range of meanings and ideas conveyed by the phrases belonging to or in a place, being at home in a place. It is by looking at the differing ideas of home that we can begin to understand what home as a concept actually is. It is something with fluidity and inconsistency.
Home can be a personal concept, which is tightly associated with and may be constructed by personal experience and feelings.
I am safe. There is the corner of the bedroom door and the friendly furniture. There is the tree of life in the garden and the mountains, and the barrier of the sea. I am safe from strangers.
As written by Eckert, in the process of day-to-day give and take practice, one group of individuals may construct a shared take on themselves, on others, and on the differences between them. Antoinette came back to Calibri. The feeling of home had changed because of the change of the people and their daily practice around them.
Calibri looked the same when I saw it again, although it was clean and tidy, no grass between the flagstones, no leaks, but it didn't feel the same. Mr. Mason engaged new servants. I didn't like any of them excepting Manny the groom. It was their talk about Christophine that changed Calibri, not the repairs or the new furniture or the strange faces.
When Colibri was on fire, Antoinette's mother tried to save the parrot instead of the jewel case. Furthermore, judging from Antoinette's own narration, it is easy to notice that she also sees Coco as part of her home, her past life experience, rather than the jewel case.
It's impossible. Too late now.
Wants a jewel case?
Jewel case? Nothing so sensible. She wanted to go back for her damn parrot. I won't lie.
I opened my eyes. Everybody was looking up and pointing at Coco on the glacis railings with his feathers alight. He made an effort to fly down, but his clipped wings failed him and he fell screeching. He was all on fire. Oh.
The incompatibility of freedom and home has also been shown while she was trying to find a new way to go without anyone else around.
I took another road, past the old sugar works and the water wheel that had not turned for years. I went to parts of Calibri that I had not seen, where there was no road, no path, no track. And if the razor grass cut my legs and arms, I'd think, it's better than people.
Rochester is relating things back to England.
I understood why the potter had called it a wild place. Not only wild, but menacing. Those hills so close in on you. Everything's too much. Too much blue, too much purple, too much green. The flowers too red. The mountains too high, the hills too near. It was a beautiful place, wild, untouched, above all untouched, with an alien, disturbing, sacred loveliness, and it kept it sacred.
He has a distinctly English way of looking at things. As though the vividness of the landscape is overwhelming for him, he sees the landscape as being threatening, full of secrets that he is separated from, a clear contrast to Antoinette's feelings for the place.
The earth is red here, do you notice?
It's red in parts of England too.
Oh, England. Don't you like it here? This is my place and everything is on our side.
According to Mirsha, home can be considered a damaged concept due to the reality of living in one place and belonging elsewhere. The idea of reality playing a part in notions of home is directly reflected to wild Sargasso Sea.
Is it true that England is like a dream? Because one of my friends who married an Englishman wrote and told me so. She said, this place London is like a cold dark dream sometimes. I want to wake up.
Well, that is precisely how your beautiful island seems to me. Quite unreal and like a dream.
But how can rivers and mountains and the sea be unreal?
And how can millions of people, their houses and their streets be unreal?
More easily, much more easily. Yes, a big city must be like a dream.
No, this is unreal and like a dream.
Each of the characters are labeling places as being unreal. This worry between the familiar and the unfamiliar. The reader is constantly reminded of contrast of the relation back to that which is familiar. Antoinette whispers in the darkness, not by day. We have the contrast between light and dark to highlight her belonging, just as at the beginning of the novel it is suggested that Antoinette belongs only in the darkness. It is this same darkness that threatens Rochester.
It was a night and I felt danger, and we tried to forget it and to push it away.
As well as this contrast and foreshadowing, we have constant comparisons between England and Grambros, constant correlations told as facts, such as that the evening meal was served much later than in England. There's a dramatic tension between remembering England and recognizing this current place of living, a contrast between origin and residence. Salman Rushdie talks of imagery, homelands of the mind, the idea that we cannot recreate what was lost. We create fictions of the past. In this sense, home can be understood as the abstract imagery rather than being situated in a place. Antoinette can be considered not Caribbean enough for the Caribbean, but not white enough for the whites. She is shunned by both communities.
It was a song about a white cockroach. That's me. That's what they call all of us who are here before their own people in Africa sold them to the slave traders. And I've heard English women call us white niggers. So between you, I often wonder who I am, and where is my country, and where do I belong, and why was I ever born at all? But I love Cleobury more than anywhere in the world, as if it were a person, more than a person.
Antoinette's background, her family, link her with the slave owners, and she continues to carry this stigma long after the emancipation of the slaves in 1833. This alienates her from the black community. However, given that her mother was a Creole, Antoinette is also excluded from the English community. In this sense, she can be seen as a double outsider, unaccepted within any community. So, how much does a sense of home come from community? Rochester again reiterates his feelings for the forest, the place in which Antoinette at times states she belongs.
You cannot mistake the forest. It is hostile. I was lost and afraid among those enemy trees. Here were the ruins of a stone house, and round the ruins rose trees that had grown to an incredible height. At the back of the ruins, a wild orange tree covered with fruit, the leaves a dark green. A beautiful place, and calm. So calm that it seemed foolish to think or plan. What had I to think about, and what could I plan? Under the orange tree, I noticed little bunches of flowers tied with grass.
The orange tree and the ruins symbolize the enigma that is Antoinette, her ancestry, her secrets. As soon as Rochester gets back, he starts to look up Obeah. A zombie can be the spirit of a place. Reese uses a backwriting paradigm to give Jane Eyre's Bertha a voice, known in Bronte's context as a demon and a vampire. According to Dupois and Thorns, home is a source of personal identity and status, and/or a source of personal and familial security.
This is my place, and this is where I belong, and this is where I wish to stay. Christophine, he does not love me. I think he hates me.
You ask me a hard thing. I tell you a hard thing. Pack up and go.
Go? Go where? Some strange place where I shall never see him? You must understand, I'm not rich now. I have no money of my own at all. Everything I have belongs to him.
This displays the idea that the other reason for her not wanting to move to England is that with her Creole identity, moving to England will complicate or even lose her identity. As Bowlby, Wardell, and Somerville suggest, home is a multi-dimensional concept or a multi-layered phenomenon.
I wish to see England. I'll be a different person when I live in England, and different things will happen to me. I know that house where I will be cold and not belonging. The bed I shall lie in has red curtains. In that bed I will dream the end of my dream.
England? You think there is such a place?
You know there is.
I don't say I don't believe. I say I don't know.
Mr. Rochester sees the place in an entirely contrasting perspective.
I feel very much a stranger here. I feel that this place is my enemy and on your side.
You're quite mistaken. It's not for you and not for me. It has nothing to do with either of us. I loved it because I had nothing else to love, but it's indifferent as this God you call on so often.
Don't you think that Christophine is right? That if you went away from this place or I went away for a time, it might be the wisest thing we could do.
You go. I wish to stay here in the dark, where I belong.
According to Saunders, home brings together memory and longing. the ideational, the affective and the physical, the spatial and the temporal, the local and the global, the positively evaluated and the negatively. As she realizes in the room that she's locked away in the attic under the watchful yet sometimes sleepy-eyed Grace Poole, the one thing that has jogged her memory as being important in her red dress.
The scent that came from the dress was very faint at first, and then it grew stronger. The smell of vetiver and frangipani, of cinnamon and dust and lime trees when they're flowering, the smell of the sun and the smell of the rain.
The dress signifies home, the islands, Colibri, the sense, the imagery that was all around her as a child and growing up in the Caribbean islands. It also connects her to the memory of a person who was very in love with her long ago.
I was wearing a dress of that colour when Sandy came to me for the last time.
Her dream continues, and it is at her childhood home of Colibri that she finds herself now.
Suddenly I was in our chorus room. I saw the sunlight coming through the window, the tree outside and the shadows of the leaves on the floor, but I saw the wax candles too and I hated them. So I knocked them all down. Most of them went out, but one caught the thin curtains that were behind the red ones. I saw the grandfather clock and Aunt Cora's patchwork, all colours. I saw the orchids and the stephanotis and the jasmine and the tree of life in flames, the red carpet downstairs and the bamboos and the tree ferns, the gold ferns and the silver and the soft green velvet of the moss on the garden wall. I saw my doll's house and the books and the picture of the miller's daughter. I heard the parrot call as he did when he saw a stranger, Kaesla, Kaesla, and the man who hated me was calling too.
Bertha, Bertha!
All that she references is that of Colibri, her home. After all of what has happened to her, she finds peace in what home brings.
I thought, if I jumped to those hard stones. But when I looked over the edge, I saw the pool at Colibri. Tia was there. She beckoned to me, and when I hesitated, she laughed. I heard the man's voice.
Bertha, Bertha!
I called Tia and jumped and woke. I was outside holding my candle. Now at last I know why I was brought here and what I have to do.
Yes, I'm one, yes, I'm two, yes, I'm three, yes, I'm four, yes, I'm 500 miles from my own.